Very good morning, everyone. My name is Prem Maheshwaran. I'm a product expert of ServiceDesk Plus. In this session today, we are going to discuss about the asset management part 2. We are going to speak about software license management and configuration management database. Let's quickly take a look at the agenda of this discussion. Today, we are going to discuss about different types of software and different software license types that you can manage with the asset management module of ServiceDesk Plus, how you can allocate and deallocate licenses from various installations that we have found during the inventory using the asset management part. Also, the calculation of compliance, which is very required during audits. So we are going to see how we can ensure compliance of software licenses versus the installation of software. And finally, we are going to check about the configuration management database. After covering all these topics, we'll have a dedicated time for discussion, the question and answer session. So based on the discussion today, you can shoot questions to me. I'll try to answer everything on air. And if the questions are more, I'll answer it via email. Now, without further any delay, we'll directly go into the product. For this demonstration, I'm going to use the Enterprise Edition of ServiceDesk Plus on-premises, and this is the full-blown version. The product version is 9.4. All right, let us go to the Asset Management tab. So in the last class, the previous class, we discussed about how you can bring hardware and software information into the application by deploying probe and various methodologies of scanning assets. Now, let us see how you can manage the software that we have identified during the inventory part. So in the asset section under the left side pane, navigation pane, you have got software as one of the sections. So this is the section where you can manage all the software assets. Once the scan is complete, when you go to the scan software section, you'll find all the different software that we have identified during the discovery part. So generally when we scan a machine, we also fetch the different software that are available in the machine. And this list view gives a consolidated view of how many installations are found in your organization. So this is a section where I listed all the Microsoft products. So it shows the different Microsoft products that we have identified during the scan, the number of installations. Let us quickly click and I'll show you what it means. So these are the computers in which I have identified Microsoft Silverlight. All right. So from various machines, I have identified this software and the product lists it as the installation count. Wherein the purchase count shows a 0 because I have not added any license for this product. So as of now, the license information is not updated, and that is why it shows 0 for purchased, wherein the installation is found during discovery. So 0 allocation since there is no purchase information. So let us quickly see the various features that are available and the information that you can get from this list view. Right? So software type. So that is the first feature that I would like to highlight to you guys. Right? Software type marks whether the software has to be managed with a license. So we've got different software types. Freeware. So if a software is marked as a freeware, we don't worry about the license. If it is prohibited, then probably we may have to run a report, identify the machine in which a prohibited software is running, and we have to instruct the end user to uninstall it, or we can deploy an installation script using Desktop Central. Likewise, you've got shareware, unidentified software, excluded software. All these are the different software product types. Let's see how and where we can configure these types. To do that, go to the admin section. So I've got admin section open in another tab. So in this, scroll down to asset management. And there is a separate section for software now. So click on software type. So this is the list of different software type that we saw in the list view. So these are the default ones that are available out of the box, and there is a description about everything, every type of software uh, that comes out of the box. So if you'd like to add more software types as per your requirements and practices, you can also do that. So at the right top corner in this section, you've got an option to add a new software type. So I can provide a label for the software type, and also if this type has to be involved or included for compliance calculation, you can enable this checkbox. Once done, the new software type that you have created will also be involved or included for the compliance calculation in addition to the managed software list. So this is how we can differentiate the different types of software that we have identified from the computers, from the end users computers. So we don't have to strain ourselves managing freeware. So all we worry about is the managed software, and the application is intelligent enough to automatically classify uh, Microsoft and Adobe software as managed. So as you can see, all these are managed software, and that is why we worry about the compliance part. Okay, so there are a few more filters available in this list view. One is to filter it by the manufacturer. Right now it shows only Microsoft Corporation's products. So say for example I want to see the software from Adobe. That is the case. Once I click on Adobe, it'll show all the different software that we have identified from this manufacturer. So from Adobe, I worry only about the managed software. That is the case. It shows all the managed software from Adobe. And further, you get another filter with which I can see whether we have got compliance, under licensed, and over licensed software installations. So, and right now we have not added any of the licenses. So everything is under licensed. All right. So we don't have any compliance as of now. So everything is under license. All right. Now let's see how I can add software license and then, you know, calculate compliance. So I have to bring up this number to match the installation count and then allocate the license so that the software that we have identified will be compliant. So let's go with the example of Microsoft. So going to the Microsoft Corporation's list of software. And in this example, I've got Microsoft Windows 8.1 Pro, the operating system. I've got 200 licenses, 0 installations. So I've got 200 available licenses for this operating system, which can be deployed. So let's see how I can add and bring up this number here in the list view. To do that, go to Software Licenses in the left side pane. So once I click on software licenses, so this is where I can add license information, the license key, the type of license, and the expiry date set for the license. All right, let's assume that you've got 3,000 licenses, and bringing or adding up all the licenses into ServiceDesk Plus can be a tedious job. To overcome that, we have got an option to import it from a CSV file. We are aware that most of the asset managers are saving or storing the license information in an Excel sheet. So if you have got the data in an Excel spreadsheet, all you have to do is save it in CSV format and use the file to bring all the licenses information into ServiceDesk Plus. That way, everything will be consolidated and stored in a central location, and you don't have to worry about the number of different licenses that you own. Now let us see how we can add a new software license. So when I go to add a new software license, I've got two options. One is a standard license, another one is a license that allows me to upgrade in the future. All right, so let's click on standard license. Okay, So once I go to add a new standard license, I'll be given the manufacturers for which, no, the software manufacturer for which we are trying to add a new license. I'm going to go with the example of Microsoft Corporation. Choose the software for which I'm going to procure the license. Let me see if I've got any Office installations. All right. I'm going with Microsoft Office 2003. Now then, the next option is the license type. So these are the different license types we support. So it can be a client access license, a concurrent license, can be a volume license. Most of the times, if it is an operating system, it goes by the volume licensing model. And even with Office suites, sometimes it's always volume licenses, which means one license supports hundreds of installations. So the example that I showed you with Windows 8.1 Pro, the 200 licenses mostly would be a volume license. Okay, I'm going to say it's a volume license. Choose the license option. It's going to be an enterprise agreement. So once again, the license option defines the type of agreement that you have while procuring this license. So the number of installations allowed, I'm going to say it's 100. On the license key, I'll populate the license key. So ServiceDesk Plus does not automatically match the license key with the installation found. So it has to be manually done. So anyways, in order to store it centrally and store it in a secure location, we advise you to update the license key information when you add a new software license. Now it's time to update the vendor name. Okay, I already have used it. Let me quickly do a small change. Okay. So this software license is acquired from Microsoft. So Microsoft is my vendor who has provided me the Office 2003 volume license. Right? So then comes the details of the license. So acquisition date, I said 2007, June. And the expiry date is going to be on 28th this month. The purchase cost, I say $1,000. And now comes the section of localizing a license to a geographical location or a department. So ServiceDesk Plus also allows you to procure licenses for different geographical locations. So if your organization is multinational and if you've got operations around the world, you may have restrictions with the agreement, license agreement, that the license should be used only within a specific country. So say, for example, if it is procured for Australia, it has to be used only within Australia. In that case, I can update the site. So site defines the geographical location. So I'm going to say this particular license is procured only for Australia, so it should be used only within Australia. So even if you have only 2 installations in Australia, the rest 98 licenses cannot be used for other sites. So if you're under compliant in London, you have to procure specific licenses for London and then use it. So it's not possible to redistribute the license from one geographical location to another if it is allocated to a site. Wherein if you choose organization, then this license is global. So if there is no restriction with the policy, you can go and add it as an organizational level license. In that case, the 100 licenses that you have procured for Microsoft Office can be utilized anywhere around the world, for your offices. And also, you've got an option to localize it to a department. So if this license is procured for the administration office in a particular site, that can also be updated. So I can say administration in London. So now this license, the 100 Microsoft Office license, becomes local only to the administration department in the London office. So though it is procured for organization, we have segmented and localized it for a specific geographical location. So these are the options available for creating a new software license. So likewise, you can go with individual licenses. So instead of 100 one volume license which supports 100 installations, you can even go with 100 individual licenses with different license keys. So even then you will have 100 licenses. It's all depends upon the different types of licenses, by the by which way you acquire it. So you already have 100 licenses, you already have 100 installations, you have matched it, it is compliant now. But after that, you have got another 5 users who wants to use Office 2003. If that is the case, you can procure 5 different individual licenses and match it up. So the combination of the licenses, irrespective of the types, will be available and listed as the available purchased license count in the list view. All right, let's go ahead and add this license. I'm going to choose the software, add the license. All right, a new license has been created for Office 2003 Web Components, and it's going to be 100 installations via volume model. And we have procured it for the organization, so it can be used anywhere around the world in various offices. Now let us go back to the scan software section. All right, here I'm going to search for Office 2003 Web. So it shows I've got 101 license purchase licenses. I've got 100 volume and 1 individual licenses. So only one installation is found and only one is consumed or allocated. So the rest available licenses 100. So I've got 100 more licenses that can be utilized, and I'm over licensed for this particular software. So this is how you can manage and maintain the purchase count versus the installation count versus the allocated count. So you may have to manually allocate a license, even if I have found a license, a software installed in a computer. So it's the job of the administrator, the asset manager, to manually allocate a software license to an installation. All right, let's see how I can allocate it for installation. So I'm going into the details page of this software. So here I've got only one installation. All right. So if I scan another machine and if I find another computer which has the same software, then the workstation will be listed here. Let me quickly see if there is any installation that I can add in. All right. With a different example, Office. Excel Viewer. Let's take this one. Okay, now let me add a license. So this is another way of creating license. I can even add it from there. So for the Microsoft SQL Server, I'm directly adding a license from within the software details page. I'm going to say an individual license. So full packaged product, the license key. Okay, the vendor is going to be Microsoft. Once that is all done, now I'm going to save the license. All right. Now, if you see, I've got 2 installations and 1 available license. Now let's see how I can allocate the license to this installation. So these are the 2 computers in which I found SQL Server 2012. I've got only 1 license. I'm going to choose one of the computers and allocate the license. Okay. All right. Allocation is done. Now, if I go back to the details section, the software details section, I've got 1 licensed installation and 1 unlicensed installation because I've got only 1 license purchased for this product. So now the asset manager gets the information that he's under compliant for this particular product, and you may have to procure one more license in order to be compliant. So this is how you can bring in the software information from scanning and add the software license information either manually or via a CSV file. Once that is done, then it is the time to mix and match. So we've got various licenses available for different geographical locations, different offices, departments, or organizational level licenses. All that will be listed under the details section, and from here you can match the count and allocate it manually. So once the allocation is done, you will know the compliance status, whether you are under licensed or over licensed or exactly compliant. So based on that information, you can repurpose the license for a different department, or otherwise, if you're under licensed, you may have to procure more licenses to meet the audits. So this is the way with which you can manage the licenses. But this particular section lets you do it for one particular software. So I went with an example of an SQL server. But what if you'd like to see the compliance status of multiple software from Microsoft? So for that, you may have to see it from a bird's eye view. So to enable that, we have got another section. It's called Software Summary. So from this section, you will now see a broader picture of the compliance status. So this is a complete compliance status irrespective of manufacturer and site. Is your organization compliant with regards to software? So I've got these many under-licensed installations. So 33 under-licensed installations, 3 over-licensed software installations, and you've got exactly compliant 6 software products. So it also shows you the complete details of the total software identified and with different types. You've got 42 managed software types. Prohibited software is 1, unidentified. The complete picture can be viewed here. Now, we are not worried about the complete compliance status of your organization. We are more worried about Adobe or Microsoft. If that is the case, I can filter it down by Microsoft. So let us quickly see how compliant we are with the Microsoft Corporation software. So I've got 6 under-licensed installations. So when I click on the pie chart, it will quickly show me the 6 different software for which I may have to procure licenses. So these are the installations that I have found, the count of installation that I have found. So Microsoft Visual C++, we've got 15 installations, but no licenses. So now it's time for me to procure license and allocate it so that I can meet the compliance. So this is how I can quickly get a picture of my compliance status and do a proper purchase. So instead of doing a panic mode purchase, just to meet the audit, I can get the exact numbers and then procure the licenses and be compliant, even before an audit. So you can even forecast and procure more licenses. You can be over licensed so that as and when there is a demand for the software license, you can install the piece of software and allocate the license and be compliant all the time. So also it lets you to do deallocation. So say for example SQL Server 2012, the same example, let us go with that. I've got the installations. So we have got 1 licensed installation and 1 unlicensed installation. So say for example this computer is going to be completely removed out of you're going to do a clean wipe of the computer and going to install a completely new different software. So you don't want to waste the license being still allocated to this computer. Instead, we can deallocate this one. So this model helps you, to use the license in a shared model. Sometimes if the license is not locked to a named user or locked to a computer, if it is a free license which can be, assigned to a different computer from one to another, so you can deallocate it. So now the license is freed. So you've got 2 unlicensed installations and you've got 2 licenses that can be used for a software installation. So this model of deallocation lets you provide software licenses on a lease internally. Say, for example, one of the users wants Adobe Photoshop, but his requirement is only for 2 weeks. So after 2 weeks, he's never going to use Photoshop. So he is in the need. You have to provide him a software license for the Adobe Photoshop installation. So in that case, you can allocate the license to the user, let him use the product for 2 weeks. And after 2 weeks, after he uninstalls the software, you can deallocate the license, free it up, and put it back into the license queue. So now, instead of wasting the license being allocated to a user who never is going to use the software, throughout the year, it can be freed up and it can be repurposed and given to a different user. So it allows you to do a parking lot model of allocation of licenses. So you can share, you can even have licenses as a shared resource if the policy of the license, if the terms and condition of the license lets you do that. So these are the various different things that you can do with software licenses, allocation and deallocation, and the calculation of compliance from the software summary section. So if you'd like to go a little specific, I'm going to say Microsoft Corporation, and if we want to see the compliance status of a specific site, so I'm going to have a compliance audit in Australia. When I click on it, you can see that it's over licensed. I don't have to worry about it. So likewise, I can filter through different offices and I can find the compliance level of the various offices. So this is where you get the holistic view of the license compliance. The next feature that I would like to show you is the contract, the license agreements. We know that there is a contract section available for hardware assets. Likewise, there is also an option to create an agreement for software assets. So here I can add a new software agreement. I can provide in the agreement number, provide the authorization number. So it is for internal use. There are additional fields available if you'd like to gather more information about the agreement, the active period and the expiry period. I'm going to say 7 June 2017 to 7 June 2018. So today it's going to expire. Also, I can choose the vendor name so that it'll be easy for me to contact the vendor and get the license renewed. All right, if there is any terms and conditions, it can be updated there. And if you've got any agreement documents, it can also be uploaded into the an agreement as an attachment. So if you have procured this contract via purchase module, so there is a built-in purchase module available in ServiceDesk Plus with which you can procure hardware and software assets. So if it is procured through the purchase order, the commercial information will also be available here. The cost of procuring, the invoice number, the invoice date, all that information will be available already in the agreement. So once that is done, now I can allocate the licenses which are covered by the software agreement. All right. So I have created a new license and allocated to the agreement. So before the expiry of this license, I can trigger, so which is today, right? So before the expiry of the license, I can trigger notifications to asset managers. So I'm going to say Anna is my asset manager. This user has to be notified before 2 days, or probably it'll need a week's time for her to do all the paperwork. So I'm going to say 10 days and save. So 10 days before the expiry of this agreement, notification will be triggered to the user Anna so that she can work it out with the vendor, negotiate, procure an extension of the license. So software license agreements section is just like the contract section for hardware licenses, which allows you to manage and maintain, all the expiry, before the dates of expiry, you can renew and maintain the software. All right. And the final section is service packs. This is one more important section. So as we scan the operating systems, so when we do the asset scan, we fetch the hardware and software information. Also, we get fine-grained information like service packs. So if there is any high priority service pack which has to be distributed to all the end user species as a part of the vulnerability compliance, to be safe enough against a vulnerability, you can check the installation of service packs in various different computers, and based on the status, you can redistribute it using a distribution software like Desktop Central or SCCM. So you can make use of the software and then push the service packs into all the computers and ensure that it's available in all the end users PCs. All right. So there is one more important option that I'd like to tell you about. So it is the software suite. So it is also possible for us to create a software suite with ServiceDesk Plus. So most of the Adobe products comes as a suite, and Microsoft products, the productivity tools comes as a suite. That is the case. You can also create a software suite and manage one license against the suite of products. So that is also possible with ServiceDesk Plus. So to create a suite, all you have to do is and then choose the software products and click on software suite. So I just go with a random example here. So with these software components, I'm going to create a new suite. All right. I'm going to say MS Office 2003 suite. So now I have created a suite software with the components. The category is going to be productivity. I don't have it added here, but it can also be customized. So to add new software categories, you can go into the admin section, software, add a new software category. I'm going to say accounting. All right, once that is done, then comes the automation section. So if a computer is identified with more than one software installation of this component, then if it has to be considered as a suite, it can be automated here. So automatically discover a suite installation if the suite component software installation is greater than or equal to 3. So if all the 3 is available, then it is considered as a suite. I don't want to do that. Even if 2 is there, 2 of the components of the suite is there, I still want it to be considered as a suite and allocate a suite license. If that is also possible. It will automatically identify that as a suite, and then a license can be allocated against a suite. All right. So these are the various different options and features available for managing software assets. So you can bring in the software information, quickly do get the list of installation, allocation, and as well as the purchase license count. You can get a complete picture of the compliance status from the software summary section. You can manage the agreements and contracts covering the software and also get expiry notification before the expiry of the contract, trigger to an asset manager so that he or she can renew it and keep it alive. You also got an option to add different types of software licenses like volume licenses, individual licenses, perpetual licenses, which doesn't have any expiry dates, client access licenses for, SQL kind of installation. So all these are different software license types that we support. It can be added in here and it can be consumed for allocation and management of compliance status. Finally, we also get a quick overview of the installation of service packs. So you can be sure about the vulnerability patches being deployed to all the end users PCs. So these are the different options available. Now comes the time to run, report, and get data out of the information that we manage and maintain with ServiceDesk Plus software license management. So to do that, go to the report section And under the reports section, there is a dedicated module available for software. So these are pre-built out-of-the-box reports that you can run and figure out the different software that you have identified during scanning. So you can get a report of software by category, software reports purchased versus installed software. So this is the one which I will worry about, when I'm at the mode of doing an audit. So once I click on it, it will quickly run a report. So now I get a complete picture of the software, the compliance type of the software, whether it's under licensed or over licensed or compliant, the manufacturer, various different manufacturers, the installations, purchase, allocation, and how much licenses I'm left with. All right. So this information can be exported as PDF or XLS files and can be sent across to your procurement department if you have a separate team doing that part. So these are the out of the box reports that are available with ServiceDesk Plus. And also you've got a custom report option for software. So here there are two options. One is to go with software or software by site. So if I worry only about Australia or London, and if I want to run a report about the software compliance of this particular site, I can go with this option. Or otherwise, I can go with the global option of running a report against software. Proceed to the report wizard, and that'll give me all the columns that can be included with which I can build my logic and run a report. So I'm going to say everything. All right. Then comes the filtration, where you can apply your conditions and criteria that are required to get this report. So I'm going to say manufacturer is Adobe. Now once I click on run report, it'll get me a report. It is also possible for me to add a chart to this report. Now this report can once again be exported in various formats, or otherwise if you'd like to get a much complex report, with custom logic, it is also possible for us to view the query that is built automatically for this report. So the SQL query that is used to run this report will also be available. You can open it with the query editor, and if you're comfortable writing SQL statements, you can refer the schema. We have published the table schema for the the software module. So the SQL specialist can quickly take a look into the schema and construct your own logics. And we'll also support you via our support team to provide you custom logics for running your report. So these are the various different options available for software licenses. Now let us quickly move into the configuration management database part. So that is with the software license. We are done with software license management and various reporting options available for software licenses. Now let us see the configuration management database section of this discussion. So I have been observing various customer environments, and one thing I don't find common is the level of CMDB implementation. So various companies have different ideology of implementation of CMDB. So let us quickly see how it can help you with day-to-day operations and what are the advantages of having configuration management database, and quickly see how asset management, configuration management are going to be different. All right, so let us open the asset management section. So I've got two tabs. One is the CMDB and another one is the asset management. So here I'm going to expand the IT assets. So that is the one we are going to worry about. So under the IT assets, we have got servers as one of the section. So when I go to servers, I can see all the different server machines available in my environment. So any machine that runs a server class operating system is classified as a server. So that is all asset management worries about. But when I go to configuration management database, and now here I expand server, I have got different business purpose for the server. Now I get furthermore detail about the server. I can see application servers, database servers, file servers, mainframes, service desk server. This is a custom type that I created for the server which runs ManageEngine Service Desk Plus. So I can even create custom types, and these are called as CI types, configuration item types. So asset management goes by the form factor or the operating system that a machine runs. But configuration management database supplies you more information. It gives you the business purpose of the asset. So now, uh, when a technician who works on problems or changes or incidents goes to CMDB, he will know what is available on that machine, what purpose is being served by the machine. So if it is going to be a database server, the impact is very huge because it's connected to multiple application servers. So if it is an end user PC, we don't worry about building CMDB. So any high impact asset can be further classified by the nature of it and the business purpose of it and be stored here. So that is the first advantage. So to build these types, these CI types, you have to go to the admin section. Once again, asset management, configuration item types. All right, so here you will have the list of configuration items and the child configuration items. So server is the parent configuration items and these are the child configuration items. And I can also build sub-child classification. So this is Unix server, and under Unix server I have further classified few types. So these are all the possibilities that are available. So if I want to add something like gaming server, just for an example, let's go with that. So I want to create a new CI type. I'm going to call it as game server. Choose the parent type server. Save it. So when I go to save it, I can define the attributes. So I can provide the different attributes that has to be updated, and also I can add additional fields. Okay, let me go with minimal information for now, just to give you an idea. So now I have created a new child CI type under the server category. It is called game server. So likewise, based on the purpose, so you might have photo storage server. If you're into the business of fashion, you might have a lot of photos, and these are stored in a server. If that is the case, it can be called as a photo server, and you can add a machine under the classification photo server. So that way, precise information about the server, and you can create a layer and store all the servers under the category that you have created. So you've got multiple different gaming servers. All those servers can be stored under the game server category that I have created. So this is the first advantage of making use of configuration management database. In addition to the assets, form factor, and operating system class, it now gives you the information about the business purpose. Now let us go with the next one. All right. Uh, Let me go back to the configuration management database. It's in the first tab. All right, servers. So here I can see all the different server, ESX. So I'm going to make use of this example. It's a Linux server. All right, it runs Red Hat Linux. Okay. Now, how this server is connected to the rest of the equipments in my IT ecosystem, that can be viewed from the relationship map. So this is the next advantage of making use of CMDB. Now, this server is connected to various different assets in my network. So this is an application server. It is backed up by 3 or 4 machines. So there is one more machine which stores another backup for fail-safe model. It is connected to another computer. It is connected to various different applications through which it is hosted. It is a member of a network called test. and it is used by one user, or you can even configure it to be used by a department, and it virtualizes. So these are the different relationships that we have built for this machine. So there's a map view which gives you a quick overview of the assets connection with the rest of the ecosystem. So that way, before a technician goes to switch it off, he'll know how it is going to impact the business. So just go and switch off will not work. You may have to quickly take a look into the risk involved, the impact that it is going to cause, and all that will be available once configuration management database is populated. So let us go to the list view. So this is where you can quickly get an overview in the text format, and also you can add relationships. So if I want to connect another asset with this particular asset, it can be done from here. So these are the various different relationship types available. So I'm going to say this particular machine exchanges data with a storage device. So I can choose if there is any storage device available, it will be shown. Run software, it will show all my software available. Going with Australia. So it shows all the different software. I'm going to say Microsoft SQL Server and add it. So now I have created a new relationship. So I'm saying that this particular machine runs SQL Server 2008. So likewise, I can create relationship maps, and these are consumed for incidents, problem, and change management. All right. To create new relationship types, once again, you need to go under the admin section, right? Asset management, relationship types. So here, these are the out-of-the-box relationship types. You've got a relationship and an inverse relationship. So likewise, when you create a new custom relationship, you have to say the forward relation and inverse relation, which can be used to connect two devices. Now, how to consume this information into incidents, problems, or change? So when I go to create a new incident, and if it is going to be a major incident, I can involve the assets. All right, ASX-1 is the asset that I'm going to involve in this particular incident. All right, once the ticket is created, now the asset is available there. The technician who has to work on the issue can right away get information about the asset. All right. Likewise, when you go to, I'm sorry, let me quickly see that. All right, so this is the asset information. So right away I can get the details of the asset, before working on it, and also I can see the relationship before I do anything stupid. So likewise, it is extended for changes as well as problems. So when a technician is working to identify the root cause analysis for a network slowdown issue, and if the related assets are associated in this problem, right away the technician can take a look into the assets involved. I'm going to say router, involve the router with this issue, save it. So now the problem technician knows what asset is involved with this problem, and he can quickly view the details of it from this section. So likewise, even in change, it is consumed. So the idea is, before making any decision on high impact assets, CMDB lets you take a bird's eye view of its relationship, business purpose, the impact, and the risk involved. Everything is identified when CMDB is consumed for incident, problem, and change. So, all right, guys. So, I really thank you all for joining this masterclass training webinar series. So, we've got one more webinar coming in the upcoming days. So, it's on change management. This is session 6. We are going to discuss about the various models, tips, and techniques of managing an agile IT change management environment. It's on the 21st June, uh, and we have got three sessions. One is at 11 a.m. Singapore time, 11 a.m. GMT, and 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And the session is for 1 hour. So if you've got any feedback or comments about this webinar series, or if you've got any further questions, feel free to shoot the question to support@servicedeskplus.com. We have got a team of engineers who will be helping you with all your questions. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you all to join the next session. Thank you and have a wonderful day.